Good morning, everybody. Good to Erev Shabbos. So we got a big Parsha this week. I mean that literally. Longest Parsha of the year, Parshas Nasso. So not longest combined Parsha, but longest single standalone Parsha. And in this week's Parsha, we have the Birchas Kohanim. And the Birchas Kohanim is something that we hear twice a day if you're going to Minyan. So once we say it in the morning, together with Birchas Torah, Yivarechacha Hashem v'yishmerecha, that Hashem should bless us and guard us. We have Usher Salem over here. He's going to do some videos for the promotion for the Kolal video. So just be natural.
Yeah. Natural, do your thing.
Do your thing?
No audio.
Okay.
Yeah. Grab a few shots and that's it.
Beauty. Yasher koach. Thank you so much. So once we say together with Birchas Torah, Yivarechacha Hashem v'yishmerecha, that Hashem should bless us and guard us. Then we also say it, the Chazan says it as well as part of the Birchas Kohanim, and over Shavuos, we just heard it from the Kohen himself. If we were in Eretz Yisrael, we'd be getting Birchas Kohanim every single day. It's actually a question if you're being Mekayim D'Oraisa, because the Pasuk says, Daber b'nei Yisrael, lemor ko tevarechu es b'nei Yisrael, emer lahem. So it's a D'Oraisa for the Kohanim to bless the people. So the Kohanim are fulfilling a D'Oraisa every time they do Birchas Kohanim. So in Eretz Yisrael, or for Sfardim, even in Chutz La'aretz, they're being Mekayim a D'Oraisa every time they're blessing. And there's even an opinion that receiving the bracha is also a D'Oraisa. So it's one of the things to take into account of going into Minyan. The next topic for the Sunday morning halacha shir is going to be going to Minyan in the morning, and all the different things. If you have to wait for 6 or 10 to start Chazar Sashatz, we'll get into like everything pretty much. But one of the opinions is that even though it's only a derabanan to go to Minyan, but if there's Birchas Kohanim, then it's a deraisa to go to Minyan. Because you have this mitzvah in this week's parsha of Koi Tevarchos B'nei Yisrael. Yeah.
Even with the Brocho and Shema.
Yep. Even Brocho and Shema, and then you have Kriyas Torah, which is going to be, that's already Divrei Nevi'im, started with Ezra HaSofer. So that's like a very strong minhag, but yeah, pretty much everything else is going to be derabana to hear with the minyan. There's makoros that it's deraisa, but they say that's only a smach the ba'alma. Rashi mentions that. So yeah, it's going to be derabana at the end of the day. So we have that. This is actually a deraisa and very powerful. We basically have 3 tiers when it comes to the bracha that the Kohen's meant to give us. We have the tier of Yivarechacha Hashem v'yishmerecha, which we're going to see what that's referring to and what that's meant to accomplish. Then we have Yo'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka. That's going to be the second tier, and Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom is going to be the third tier. And that's why we really break it up, right? When we hear the Kohen and the Chazan, they take a stop after each one. And you're meant to say Ribono Shel Olams. Yesterday we didn't get to say them, but we're meant to break it up into 3 different tiers because it's 3 different psukim, and they're, as we're going to see, they are honing in on 3 different brachos that Hashem is meant to give. So let's.
That's not an obligation on the Kohen. Where do you get it? It's an obligation on the congregation to attend.
Yeah, I didn't see the opinion of the Rishon inside. I just saw that it was brought down, that there's even Yesh, when he was talking about coming to Minyan, he's saying, it's a derabanan usually, but if there's Birchas HaKohanim, there's Yesh Misha Omer, that it's a deraisa even to hear it, as opposed to just the Kohen saying it. So yeah, Koi Tevarchu is Pashtus only referring to the Kohen himself, not the person hearing it, but there is an opinion in one of the Rishonim that hearing it, I guess you're part of that Koi Tevarechu because you need a receiver. I'm just guessing. But I'm not sure that the answer to Tibi's question. I'm going to have to take a look at it inside soon. Yeah, I just kind of skimmed through it yesterday afternoon, and then hopefully I'll have more time to get into depth and figure out what it's getting to. Okay, so says the Sefer Ikra. Source number 2. We have V'lios HaShalom Romez El HaTanuk HaRuchni Ba'olam. Since Shalom is hinting So shalom is the last bracha and the final word that ends off with shalom. We're going to see there's a lot of Torah on this word shalom. But since shalom is referring to the tainug haruchni ba'olam, spiritual ruchnius, shehu rachok min hahepech v'hu ha'olam haba, shehu ikar haschar lenefesh, and it's the opposite. It's referring to olam haba, which is the main place. If people were at the shir, Shavuos night, that's the main place for the schar, for reward for the soul. Ve'al shalom haguf ba'olam hazeh, and shalom for the body in this world, shehu sibas haschar ba'olam haba, which is the reason for reward in the world to come. Hu niskar besof Birchas Kohanim v'yasem lecha shalom. It's mentioned at the end of Birchas Kohanim v'yasem lecha shalom. Lirmos to hint. El shnei minei hashalom ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. So I feel like I cut off. I feel like I cut off a piece of the Sefer Ikrim. But basically, what he brings down is that this first line of Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha is referring to physical wealth, right? Yivarechecha Hashem, Hashem should reward you physically, right? That He should give you abundance, He should make your business successful, He should give you everything that you need, enough food on the table to feed the family, that you should have atzlacha with your kids, the house should be a calm place, shalom bayis in the home, right? So that's Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, that Hashem should give you physical blessing, that you shouldn't be in a state of anxiety, you should be in a state of calm, a state of focus, in a physical sense. And that's why in this first bracha, it's mentioned, this is not the Sefer Ikrim, but a different Rishon, I can't remember who, but it says, Yivarechecha Hashem, Hashem should bless you physically, but then v'yishmerecha, when it comes to physical wealth, Hashem needs to protect you, right? As we see the psukim in Devarim, that says that Hashem's going to give you extreme wealth, He's going to give you everything that you need, and then what's going to happen? You're going to kick, right? Vayivat. So unfortunately, physical wealth can also lead to a sense of comfort, a sense of complacency, a sense of not needing to rely on Hashem. The more security we have, the more we feel like, we got this on our own, right? We have 10 million in the bank account. I could hire private doctors and surgeons. I'm in peak health right now. I don't need Hashem anymore. God forbid, right? Somebody can say that. So v'yishmerecha, Hashem should also protect you from that wealth. That from that wealth, it shouldn't be a means to, God forbid, distance yourself from Hashem, but it should be a means to closen yourself to Hashem as well. And that's the first bracha that it's talking about physical wealth. Then in the second bracha, now it gets into spiritual wealth. It says, Yo'er Hashem ponav elecha v'chuneka. Hashem should illuminate His face toward you. V'chuneka is to find chen in you, because once a person has spiritual success, that's what brings about chen of Hashem. That's what brings about a sense of grace from Hashem. Sorry, that's a very Christian word, grace. Okay, I need a better one. What?
They pinched it from us.
Yeah. A sense of charisma, right? Of connection to Hashem, that Hashem wants to connect with us. And that's also the lashon of Yo'er. Yo'er means like to illuminate. When you talk to a guy who's, right, George, somebody who's passionate about cars or classics, or it could be a gamer, right? You talk to him about his field of gaming, or you talk to me about espresso, coffee, right? Right? If you talk to somebody about like his personal passion project, or what he's really passionate about, or what he loves doing, his hobby, right? Or sausage wrappers, which we don't know the difference, but you speak to Benny, he'll get like all involved, right? So when you speak to somebody about something that they're passionate about, you see their face lights up, right? They're activated all of a sudden. And that's the lashon of Yo'er Hashem panav elecha, that Hashem should be activated. He should be so interested. This should be like His passion project. Hashem created us to fulfill His mission in this world. When we fulfill that, when we're in tune with what we're meant to be doing spiritually, then Yo'er Hashem, His whole face illuminates up, and then we feel that sense of activation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that He's really engaged with us. So that's the bracha of Yo'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka. It's referring to Hashem should activate, give us spiritual success, and we should be able to feel a sense of connection to Him at all times. And then vichuneka, and he should give us, I don't want to say grace, but he should give us kindness and brachas, yes, in a spiritual sense. So now going back to the Sefer Ikrim, he says that this final bracha, a shalom, is when you combine two factors together. So what he's saying is that the first one is talking about physical success. The second bracha is talking about spiritual success. Now you need the third bracha, which is that you should be able to combine those two factors, that one shouldn't fight against the other, and that they shouldn't be contending one another. Oftentimes you have physical success, and okay, now I have so much physicality to look after. I need to manage my yacht and the cleaners and everything that's going on. And Baruch Hashem, my business is blowing up. But now I'm so busy trying to manage it that now I don't have time to learn anymore. And davening the whole time, I'm thinking about the next business deal and all the people that are vying for my attention and the surf that I'm going to go for this morning, right? So whatever it is, oftentimes physical success can contend with spiritual success. And spiritual success can contend with physical success, all right? That if you're doing well spiritually, then okay, I'm going to forget about my physical self. God forbid, forget to take care of my body, forget to go for that walk or whatever I need for my health. So if I'm so focused spiritually, oftentimes I can also forget about my physicality. So the final bracha is Yisa Hashem panav elecha, that Hashem should lift up His face toward you. And that's anybody who has teenage kids or they've taught teenage kids knows that oftentimes you're speaking to them, you're trying to connect with them, and they're looking down, texting at their phone, right? And unfortunately, this is something more and more common, and there's almost no sense of connection, right? You feel like, what are you doing, right? You're trying to have a conversation, you're trying to connect. How was your day at school? And your kids, just on your phone, it's showing basically that you're completely disinterested. That there's like this veil in between, you're cut off. And what we're trying to ask Hashem for is Yisa Hashem panav, Hashem should lift His face. Meaning, He should lift His attention toward us, that God forbid, it shouldn't be like, we're davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and we're learning and we're trying to serve Him on the highest level possible and He's just disinterested, right? It's like trying to give the shear looking this way. Nobody would be able to pay attention because He wouldn't feel any sense of connection. It's only when I'm looking toward you guys that I'm showing I'm trying to connect with everybody. So the same thing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yisa Hashem, Hashem should lift up His face, v'yasim lecha shalom, and give to you peace, literally peace. We're also going to see that shalom comes from the lashon of shleimus, of completion. So what he's saying over here is that in that final bracha, that first he says it's shalom, is Romans to the highest level of tainug, the highest level of pleasure in the highest world, and he says it's ba'olam ha'elyon shu rachuk min ha'hepech v'hu ha'olam haba shu ikar haschar lenefesh ve'el shalom haguf ba'olam hazeh, combining with the guf in this world. So the schar for olam haba, right, spiritual success, and the second bracha is all for spiritual success. That's all going to lead to the next world and the olam hatainug, the real world of pleasure. But that should combine with the physical guf as well. This is why it says at the end of Birchas Kohanim that Hashem should give us peace. Lirmos el shnei mini hashalom ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. It's referring to the two types of shalom, both in this world and in the world to come. Ki b'tchila amar, because in the beginning it says Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha al hatzlachas hakinyanim hagashmiyim u'shmirasam, that we should be matzliach, we should have success in physical realm, right? In our physical endeavors, we should have health, we should have parnasa, we should have a sense of calm in our lives. And that's what we're asking for in Yivarechecha Hashem. And then Ushmirasam, we need that protection as well from the physicality, because that can oftentimes lead us astray, as we know too well. Then we have the second line that says Hashem should illuminate His face. He should light up toward us and be kind to us. And that's hatzlacha in chachma, in wisdom. right? Hashem should illuminate His face toward us, that we should have wisdom, we should have shleimus in our Torah learning. Shenikru or, right? That's the lashon of yo'er, is coming from or. Or is referring to the light of Torah, and he says that we should have hatzlacha in the light of Torah. Shenemar ki ner mitzvah v'Torah or. He quotes the pasuk that says that a mitzvah is like a candle, and Torah is like a light, an open light. Chachmas adam tar panav, that the wisdom of a person illuminates his face. That's what we find. V'chuneka remez el hashleimus asichli. V'chuneka, he says, is referring to the completion of intellectually. We should be complete intellectually. Amar Moshe ve'ida'acha laman emtza chein beinecha, because Moshe said, I want to know you, and through knowing you, I'm going to be emtza chein beinecha. I'm going to find favor in your eyes. And that's what we're asking for from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vichuneka, that we should find favor in Hashem's eyes, meaning that we should have Shleimus HaDa'as, complete intellectual knowledge. Okay, so that's what the Sefer Ikrim is coming out. And then he says in the next paragraph, since both these hatzlachas can contend with one another, as we mentioned, that the physicality in Shleimus HaChachma v'Torah with wisdom and Torah, they can often contend against each other. You have physicality that distracts you from wisdom. If you're just involved in wisdom, you can be distracted from physicality. Even your base needs, shehem sibos el shleimus hanefesh u'lischar olam haba v'limtzochem be'eni Hashem, that the physicality can hold a person back from achieving real shleimus, real perfection, and it can hold them back from achieving schar and olam haba, and to find chen in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amar besof v'yasem lecha shalom. So at the end, it says v'yasem lecha shalom. Hashem should give you peace between these two, that neither one should contend with each other. You should be able to use the physicality in order to increase your spirituality, and vice versa. Nirma shetzarech ala shalom lahasik hashalom aruchni ki ma'asher ha'adam murkav mishtei kochas hafichios koach chamri v'koach nafshi, because we're made of two opposite elements. We have our koach chamri, our physical sense, and then we have our spiritual sense, and we have the nefesh and the guf. It's impossible that we'll be able to reach real shleimus, real completion, if not that we have the shalom between the two. That both of them are able to come together. That each one is able to give the portion that's roy to it. And through that, person will be able to achieve ultimate spiritual success, real shleimus, real completion in a spiritual sense, because you need a parnasa in order to be able to achieve spirituality. Right? You need your basic needs taken care of. And similarly, if you're just focused on your guf, then you're not going to have any time for spirituality. We need them both to be working together.
Yeah,
and then,
I said before that, most people who do Kohanim don't give you enough time to say the perek in between, the one in Shalom and the one at the end.
yeah.
Most Kohanim don't give enough time.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, you have to like.
Yeah, when but mostly don't leave enough time.
But that's before they do the Brocho. They don't say it, so they don't know how much time you need.
I agree, I understand, but people know that the first one's reasonably short and the last one's long.
So you have to be careful, you don't say it, I didn't say the words.
Say, you know what?
You haven't finished, you stop.
Right.
Yes.
You don't continue while they're saying.
Well, they're making the Brocho.
Right. But while they're saying amen, you still have, meaning when they're repeating the final one.
Last word. You're still saying it. You have to
If
stop.
you haven't finished and they started to say,
Oh, yeah.
you must stop immediately.
Yeah.
Even for the last one, when they say shalom, so if you don't finish, you don't finish
You
it.
can say it afterwards, but
Oh, you can say it after?
Yeah. Because you're going to lose your shomea ka'ona. Well, it's not really shomea ka'ona here, because you're meant to hear it. You're meant to hear it. Yeah.
Aren't you still yotze listening to it anyway while you're saying?
No, you shouldn't. While he's saying the Brocho, you shouldn't say anything.
You mean while he's changing?
When he's doing the chant, if he says v'yishmarecha or v'yichuneka,
Right.
you start.
So then, abrupt stop. Okay. Okay. Okay, so then he finishes off over here that's why we have to mention at the end Nisias Panim, that Hashem raises his face. and that's why it says Yisa Hashem panav elecha, because we need chesed in order to achieve this, to have physicality that it's not coming in conflict with spirituality. That takes chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that He can give us the physicality in such a way where it's not going to be an extra challenge and it's not going to contend with our spirituality. V'alkein lirmoz al aschar aruchni nimshach minasiyas hapanim amar v'yasem lecha shalom, and that's why at the end it says v'yasem lecha shalom lirmoz ki achris kol hatova sheba'olam. Person can have all the goodness in the world. The mina adam hu haschar haruchni lenefesh shenikra shalom. The ultimate thing that we want is the reward, the spiritual reward, which is called shalom. Shalom refers to completion. V'kein amar David HaMelech alav hashalom. This is what David HaMelech alav hashalom, no pun intended, says. Shomer tam v'ra yashar ki acharis leish shalom. Because at the end of the day, a person wants shalom. That's the end for a person. So that's the ultimate goal, is shalom. It's considered like the meta bracha, like the ultimate bracha for a person is to have shalom. Shalom doesn't just mean a sense of peace, that I don't have any worries in the world and I can relax and chill. We're going to see from the Akedas Yitzchak that shalom means something completely different. It refers to shleimus, it refers to a sense of completion, and a person feeling a sense that he's whole, that he's fulfilling his tafkid, that he's fulfilling his purpose. And Hashem's name is Shalom because He's ultimately the one who brings together different parts. So that's another point that the Sefer HaIkra points out, that Shalom is when you can bring separate parts, bring them all together. And so too when a person has different parts of him, he has one part that loves to go out, and another part that loves to learn, and another part that loves to do chesed. When he's able to find that sense of completion between all the different parts, all the different elements within him, so then that's the ultimate bracha, that he's able to use all of his kochos together into serving Hashem.
Which is why it's the ultimate bracha of the Shemona Esrei.
What's that?
Which is why it's the ultimate bracha of the Shemona Esrei.
Yes, yes, it's the final bracha in Sim Shalom is the final bracha in the Shemona Esrei, and I forgot the term that the Avudaram calls it. He calls it the bracha. He calls it like the final highest bracha is shalom, sim shalom. He refers to as the final highest bracha. I forgot his exact lashon in Hebrew. Okay, so moving on to the Akedas Yitzchak, source number 3. The Akedas Yitzchak says, Hine, so we'll get a little deeper into the word shalom, the final bracha over here, and this will also be nogea to sim shalom, where we ask Hashem for shalom, we ask Hashem for peace. Hine l'shalom yomer ha'amonim, shehu haskama ben akitus ha'miskotetes tchila, that many people will say that what's shalom? Shalom is, you have different people fighting, they're arguing, make shalom, right? Make shalom between you. You have Korach and Moshe, and you want to make shalom between the two sides. So you need two sides contending first. You need tension, and then only once you have tension, then you can make shalom and you can bring them both together. Ka'amar Zal, Ammon and Moab, Esav, Asu shalom beineim. The Ammon and Moab, they made shalom between them. Ukadoma, you find many examples of this where you have two sides arguing and then they make shalom. Vehine, be'emes lo hikiras yofyo. If you learn like this, that it's just kind of trying to find a medium between two contending sides, so then we won't get to the beauty and the depth of v'lo dibru b'shvacho, and we won't get to the real shvach of what shalom is. Sha'az yiyah shalom etzlam ke'inyan abusha, sha'amar ha'chacham, aleha she'ena maila, lefi she'ena ba ela achar chet kodem. We also find that the shalom, in this particular case, you need some kind of busha, you need some kind of embarrassment, and then you're able to achieve shalom. That when a ganaf, when a thief is found out, he's in a state of embarrassment. So he's bringing examples of where shalom comes from something that's meguna, some kind of embarrassment, and then achieving shalom. But what he's trying to say is that this isn't the ultimate level of shalom. Because he brings basically a whole bunch of examples, which I cut out. But he brings a whole bunch of examples. He said, David HaMelech, asked about the shalom of the people fighting in war, and then he even asked about the shalom of the country. What does that mean? Asking about the shalom of Eretz Yisrael. So the Akedas Yitzchak proves from here that shalom, you don't need some kind of contending sides. You can wish shalom upon a country. You can wish it upon an inanimate object. So im kain, if so, then what does the word shalom mean? Says the Akedas Yitzchak, source number 4. Aval ha'emes she'ein mitnai hashalom she'yehei sham what's that word? Mitzvos? Mitzavos, okatata. Kodemes, you don't need different lines or different or argument beforehand. Ula minyana hu mashi yamanim. But the real inyan is that there's some kind of withholding. Lefisha shalom hu tov meshutaf hechreichi bein ha'ishin. That real shalom is when you find a good common denominator in between individual parts. Hatzrichim chibur v'dibuk, and they need to come together and attach to one another. So what he's saying is that shalom refers to when you have different elements, different parts that are very different from one another, but you're able to string them together with some kind of common denominator. V'hinehu etzlam kechut hakesef o hazav. He says it's like jewelry. You have a necklace, and you have the string in the middle that brings all the individual pieces of gold or silver. Without that, all the pieces they'd scatter all over the place. You're able to bring it to one central place. That's what he says refers to shalom. And then he says, this is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Shalom, because peace is Shalom, belongs to Him. Meaning, Kihu Yisparach HaKosher HaOlamos Kulan, because Hashem ties all the worlds together. He ties all the individual parts of this world. You have all this atoms and matter, and they'd all decay, and they'd all fall apart, and they would never be willing to work together. Just the fact that we have a body with all these different systems, and they're willing to work together. Not each one wants to do their own thing. Same with the oceans need the heights of the mountains to create atmospheric pressure and for the rains to fall in the right place and to bring the waters down into the lowest spots. So you need a mountain system that's working perfectly with an ocean system and a valley system. Everything needs to work together. Hashem is that common denominator that brings all of the different elements of this world together into perfect symphony. Like a symbiotic relationship, right? Where you have different parts, but everything's ultimately working together, and they're not each working on their own accord and fighting each other. They're all working together. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's why one of Hashem's name is Shalom, because Hashem is the ultimate Shalom. He's what brings everything together into one common denominator, that everything is able to work together, even though they're made of separate materials and separate parts. Okay, so he finishes off that point that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Shalom, because He's what strings all of creation, all the separate parts together. And then he finishes off in source number 5 that when the world is in its sense of shleimus, every living thing is in a sense of peace. It's in a straight path. Because that string that's connecting everything together, all the different parts, to that, and it's all surrounding that one good, the ultimate good. Hu kayem ve'omed b'kiyumay yamad chai v'lo yikro pega chelki o klali. Now, when a person's connected to Hashem and everybody's working together toward that ultimate purpose of serving Hashem, so then Hashem is the common denominator of everything. He's going to hold everything together, and He's going to create a sense of shalom between the world. But as soon as we splinter off from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's like cutting the thread, cutting the common denominator between them. And then all the individual pieces, they all fall off and they all begin to do their own thing. They don't work together as one symbiotic whole anymore. So that's what he's saying is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's called Shalom as well, because as long as we all remain connected to Hashem, we all have that one goal in common, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then our ego doesn't matter so much anymore. But he says as soon as it's not about Hashem, it's about ourselves, so once we're making it about ourselves, so then, why did he say that? He said that disgusting thing to me. I wanted to do the Kiddush here, and he wants to do it here. I wanted to daven, and he wants to get up. And then everything becomes fighting against each other because we're not just concerned about what's going to bring the ultimate Kavod Shemayim. Now we're focused on ourselves, and then it's man versus man. And that's basically what he brings, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the kibbutz HaKlali. He's what gathers together, everything together. When we're focused on Avodas Hashem together, then we have shalom between ourselves. And that's v'yasem lecha shalom. Hashem should give us that ultimate sense of working together because He's the common denominator. He's the common denominator, and He should give us that sense of shalom by us following in His way. So that's the final bracha, the master bracha, as we like to call it. That he gets into over here that when people, once you lose that sense of purposeness together, of everybody trying to serve Hashem, he brings examples of times when the Melech Yisrael was not for Hashem, and then everybody was trying to do Isha Yasher Ba'enav. Everybody was just doing whatever pleased them, and it was man versus man, right? We're all into our selfish needs, but once we do come together, then Hashem changes the teva as well, that everybody's able to work together, that there's a sense of wholeness within all of Klal Yisrael and within the world as a whole. And that's what he finishes off with, the final bracha, V'yasem lecha shalom, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, that Hashem should lift His face up to us, He should be activated and engaged, and he should be the common denominator between us and give that sense of wholeness and completeness and the fact that we have something to work together toward, right? So just like the Tower of Babel, where they were all working toward one common goal. As soon as Hashem changed the language, and then people didn't understand each other, they weren't able to work together anymore, they lost their common goal, and then they all started fighting each other, and ultimately the Tower of Babel fell. But what we do learn is that when people do have that common denominator, they're working toward one goal, so then we find a sense of shalom. That's supposed to be that's the ultimate goal of the Jewish people, that we're all meant to be working together as one goal, and therefore it doesn't make a difference if this person's Dati Le'umi or Hasidish or Litvish or Chabad or whatever a person is, as long as we sense that we're all sincere about serving Hashem on the highest level, and if that's really our intention, so then we'll be able to find that common denominator, we'll be able to find that common shleimus, and we'll all be able to achieve a sense of wholeness within Klal Yisrael and achieve our ultimate purpose as the Am HaNifkar. Yashar Koach, everybody. Have an amazing Shabbos.